Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective. With pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Podcast Network. It is Thursday, October the 14th. Ian Cameron and Alex B. Smith with you, and we will have Jimmy Murphy along with us momentarily as well, breaking down the Thursday NHL card. Very, very fascinating night. We got a big card, so we're going to be very brief with last night's thoughts. And I'm going to focus more on the broadcast. I actually don't want to talk about some of the results because it was a tough night for most of us last night with the betting board. But again, I stress this all the time, especially early in the season. Everybody wants to get off to a fast start. Everybody now wants to bet hockey now. And then there's people that once we get into the part of the year where things get busy, January, February, March, maybe they slack off a little bit with their interest in betting hockey. And so if you don't get off to a good start, it bothers people. But, the people that are in this daily for the full season realize it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. There was a season I think it was 2017. It was an 82 game schedule like we've got now once again. And I was down 12 units in the season. And yet I chipped away, battled back, got on a good run, in the second half post All-Star break. And next thing you know, I ended up plus 2 units that year. And again, nothing to write home about, but still to go from minus 12 units to plus 2 units at the end of the year and be profitable. I said, I will take that any day of the week, and I'll take being profitable, especially after that kind of start. So just be aware of that. This is like with any sport. You're going to have good runs. You're going to have bad runs. The key is to maintain that bankroll discipline. You want to be able to do that throughout the year. Like for me, I'm in a bad run. Do I increase my units and my sizes? No, absolutely not. You stick with it. You ride out the little slump and you keep on going. So that's what we aim to do here. And it's disappointing. Someone actually said to me on Twitter last night, it looks like now you would know nothing about hockey. And I know nothing about hockey. I've been watching hockey for 30 years, man. 30 years. That's longer than a lot of people that are tuning into this show have been alive, basically. But I know nothing about hockey. I've been watching the sport for 30 years. I haven't picked up a damn morsel of knowledge that entire time. Obviously. But like if you want to criticize, when picks don't go well, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. You got to call us out, but don't say that. Don't use that ridiculous statement that nothing about hockey. Don't go there because that's just ridiculous. If you want to criticize the picks, that's fine, but don't go there with that kind of comment. Speaking of comments that I have that are positive. How about TNT last night for a first impression?
Yes.
In terms of their NHL on TNT broadcast. It is just, I was floored by how good it was. I mean, you're seeing a laid back bar type of pub atmosphere in the studio last night. And great job, by the way, by Liam anchoring. He's already got that Ernie Johnson type feel. Just, set it up on a tee for Rick Tocchet and Wayne Gretzky and Anson Carter and Paul Bissonnette and just let them go at it. And he interjects with, pretty funny stuff here and there too, Liam. I thought it was just perfect. Bringing in Barkley was cool to do the shootout with Wayne Gretzky. I mean, I'm shocked they didn't let him get out of the suit and tie and the dress pants, to at least play goalie there. I mean, they really made it difficult on him, and yet he still managed to stop one, which I think is a victory, if you ask me, for Charles Barkley and the 5 Wayne Gretzky shots he faced. But look, the thing that I liked is that they've already got incredible camaraderie. They had so much fun. The laughs were, they're cracking jokes. It's just the kind of stuff that had been absent, for NHL broadcast for a while. You're seeing the personalities come out. I thought the graphics were good. I thought it was a very, very good first night. The showing tweets from fans, that was a positive. Last night from the TNT broadcast, and the interaction, the funny memes that during the broadcasts, the studio banter was good. They had good topics to discuss as well. And look, Wayne Gretzky is never going to be Mr. Charisma, not by any stretch of the imagination, but he loosened up the more that went along last night. And I just think to myself, the longer this goes, that's only the first night together. That's only their first show together. Could you imagine how good it could be if it was already that good last night? How good it could be with more weeks under their belt, more shows under their belt, and how much more chemistry. And they're going to be really, just the chemistry on air is going to get better. And I think Wayne's going to get more comfortable. He already showed toward the end of the show last night, starting to loosen up. Don't be so rigid. And he got better, I thought, Wayne, as the night went on. And I think you're going to see him fit well with that group. And very impressed with what we saw from TNT last night. And man, I'm looking forward to what's next for the rest of the season from the Turner Sports group with their NHL coverage. Alex, we'll bring you in here. What did you think of everything that went down last night?
Yeah, as far as the coverage goes with TNT, they did a phenomenal job. And like I said, I was excited when they announced that it was going to be TNT or Turner Sports and ESPN picking up the new deals. I said, on this program, I'm like, I think, TNT is really going to knock it out of the park even more than ESPN will. Because of the success they've had with the NBA, and they were able to not just carbon copy inside the NBA and then paste it to the NHL. They have their own style, their own flow. I think all of us could say, maybe outside of Jimmy, because you're actually, involving, yourself with players and talking to players. But I think the most of us on the outside kind of say that, we don't get to see the personalities of hockey players that often and vibrant personalities. It doesn't come off that way, even in interviews and different things. But we really got to see that in full display last night. Like I said, Gretzky did a phenomenal job. Even Biz Nasty, obviously we know him from his podcast stuff, but he was able to still have that kind of energy and fun that we see when he's on Spittin' Chicklets, but also keep it clean and professional on for television. And it was just great. The Charles Barkley bit was absolutely hysterical. The funniest part actually wasn't even when he was in net making the saves. The funniest part was when they were sitting down. He's sitting down with Gretzky trying to put the gear on. And Gretzky looks over and goes, he's like, I don't even know how to put those pads on. I just thought that was just great. Like it was just really just genuine, natural, organic humor from that group. And like I said, they're only going to get better as they move along. So I'm really thrilled to see that worked out. As far as play on the ice goes, like I said, our plays didn't go that well. A lot of things that we thought would happen, didn't. Obviously, most notably the Tom Wilson, Ryan Reeves, grudge match we expected to see. That did not.
Yeah, never mind our bets losing. That was the biggest disappointment and failure of the night. No fight with those two guys. What's up with that?
And no fight with the New York Rangers, because the way that they played, they were being, physical, but they weren't doing it in a smart way, which I'm stunned by. Gerald Gallant's an old school kind of guy, the mentality of, I thought that, they were going to really kind of impose their will, but still keep it, between the ears. They took a lot of dumb penalties, which you cannot do against the Capitals. And sure enough, that's what buried them. If there was one caveat to the broadcast, it was probably when they plugged Wayne Gretzky in to talk about Ovechkin in the middle of the game, which ironically enough, the Capitals scored twice during that interview. He's just kind of talking right through it. But, like I said, those are growing pains. They'll, get that timing down as things move along. Other than that, I still say A+ for the Turner Sports broadcast. But just a lot of weird things as far as games go. Chicago laid an egg early, and then they had to fight their way back. Unfortunately, couldn't get the win. We saw Anaheim, despite being outshot by a near 2-1 margin, pull out a 4-1 win, and look like a team that might not be just completely laying eggs all season long. So obviously, it's night 2. We can't just take everything with as gospel, but it was definitely an interesting night for the second night of the season.
I'm fascinated to see the ratings as well on TNT for the first night, because I can report too that the ESPN ratings on Tuesday night for their doubleheader up significant. It's like they destroyed any recent season opener night rating that NBC Sports Network got the last, which isn't that shocking. Like NBC Sports Network, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, it's not a big time sports network to people, to the common sports fan in the United States compared to ESPN. Even FS1, I think is further ahead than NBC Sports Network.
And more homes.
Yep.
That alone.
Yeah, exactly right. And so the ratings are good. It's a good first step that the ratings Tuesday night for the ESPN doubleheader were good. It's going to be interesting to see what they are for last night, the Wednesday night inaugural TNT doubleheader. Jimmy Murphy with us now too. Jimmy, thoughts on last night?
Well, yeah, I'll start with just the network coverage. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I thought TNT's doing a great job. And, one thing I'm getting a little tired of, like so far with people reacting to it on social media, it's like they just started, both ESPN and TNT. Don't be so nitpicky. Don't be so quick to jump all over them and pick on the littlest things. You just look like a miserable soul to me. I mean, it comes off as a bad look for you to be out there. Oh, did you
Complain for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's like lighten up. Like lighten up. There's that meme I love. I'm going to show my age here, but I don't know if you remember the movie Stripes. But there's a great scene with Sergeant Houck where he's just looking at that guy and he goes, "Lighten up, Francis." And it's like, I use that all the time to people when they're being too negative. So look, I think it's a work in progress, but so far so good. The one thing I would have critique about, and I was discussing this with an NHL scout about 2 hours ago, and this is not on the technical side. This is more on the play-by-play side. And again, I'm not saying, they suck or anything. It's just going to take time to get used to for them and for us. Is I feel like Sean McDonough and John Bucci-Gross feel a little out of sorts with their play-by-play. I think both guys are great. I know them personally. They're really great dudes to hang out with. They know their hockey. I'm not questioning that. I just feel like sometimes more, if I'll say, for example, Bucci-Gross, I feel like he'd be better in a color spot than a play-by-play, if that makes sense. I feel like he's a complementary piece. And I'm not trying to insult him. I'm just trying to say with everybody to certain, sort of find their roles. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe as we go on, each guy sort of fall or woman falls into the role that they have, and it will work better. But that's the only little critique I would have. I don't think they suck by any means. I just felt like both of them felt a little bit uncomfortable. And you know what? Maybe as the viewer, that's me feeling uncomfortable because I'm trying to break away from what I've been used to for the last 10 to 15 years with NBC.
Yeah.
I'm trying to break away from that. And so maybe it's taking time for me to get used to. So it's a learning process. I think they're doing a great job overall, but I think you guys nailed it. The best part is it's fun. And it's gonna, it's time. Look, I'm age 47, but it's time for the networks that are doing this and the NHL to start to filter in not even people as young as you guys, but people way younger. Like, it's time to start bringing in the 14, 15-year-olds and high school kids and the college kids and really making them feel familiar with it, making them feel like they're part of it. But at the same time, maintaining that connection to the older group and the older demographic like myself.
Yeah, excellent.
I agree with that.
Yeah, excellent points there, Jimmy, for sure. And I'll say one thing, though, about Bucci-Gross you're right. He's done hockey in the college ranks. I know he's done the Frozen Four all these years on ESPN. I thought he was okay, but you're right. I mean, that's a fair point that he was a little off kilter. Certainly Sean was. But look, Doc Emmerich couldn't shine up that turd that was that Tampa Bay-Pittsburgh game the other night.
And I think our ears are so tuned to Sean being college football now.
Yeah.
I think we've been, like I'm saying, it's just our eyes and our ears are so, for people more, you're like from your age on up through me and even older than me. I think it's just, it's untuning our ears and our eyes to accept the new reality. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the case too. Because even with hearing Bucci-Gross when he called the Frozen Four games, some of the college hockey games, I'm so used to him being on NHL Tonight from years ago that it's just weird even hearing him during a game.
He just seems more in studio, right? Like he's more an in studio guy to me. But
And so, but like I said, but that's for us in our age range. There's other people who like I said, people who even may have remembered the end of ESPN covering hockey. Probably don't even remember NHL Tonight because they kind of phased that out well before the coverage ended. Like I said, that was like the premier thing in at least in the 90s. Because you couldn't just find other games, and we talk about the infancy of the internet as well. So that, like I said, there's definitely different generations that are going to have different feels about how things are. But like I said, the things are going to gel together as they progress forward.
Yeah, and I'll say, guys, you get into the games too now. And our betting record so far. Look, I'm going to flat out say it right now. And I thought about this when I woke up today, and I'm kind of looking back on what we picked and just the games right now. One thing I think we all have to factor in, and I'm not using this as excuses or anything. I'm just saying for handicappers, for journalists, for the players, for coaches, for scouts, for anyone involved in the game right now, we just went through a goddamn whirlwind. Like, we just went through some kind of twilight zone. And that's how I feel. Like, I feel like I'm waking up from some weird movie or something, with the way, obviously with hockey, but also just with life in the last year and a half with COVID. And things were a lot different. And now it's like, okay, are we back to what we were 2 seasons ago? And where does it go from here? And I think we're all just trying to get a grasp on that right now. And I think we're all just going to really have to learn these early trends. And once we see them, just jump on them. I think it's a learning process for everyone involved, the fans, the viewers, everybody in the game. It's weird right now. And that's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, it is. And it's an adjustment period. And even the bad teams don't know they're bad just yet, like Anaheim last night.
Or the
Look
good
at a
ones
big
don't know
first
this
win for them.
Like Winnipeg. There you go.
Exactly. There you go. So early in the season, as always, and I know there's people that don't, and I've had good success and good first days and good first weeks in the past. So that's why I always handicap and bet right from day one.
Yeah.
But I know there's people that won't even touch the NHL until everybody plays at least 2 games.
Yeah.
I know there are people that do that. So, and
I felt like I was hitting more unders, guys, like in the first few weeks of the last few seasons, because the over-unders were being set so high. Remember, I mean, we were seeing like 7s, 7.5s at time. And I was like, screw this. I'm going to go under, man. I mean, if it goes over, then so be it. But that's just too high. Yeah. And so you'd take the chance. And now it's just, I don't know. I don't know where we're at right now. It's tough to judge, but we'll get the feel for it. And one thing I look at tonight, guys, is that speaking over unders, and we'll get to it, I'm sure, but that Ottawa-Toronto game really is grabbing my interest. I have a lot of interest in watching that game in so many different aspects.
Yeah, and I'll touch on one thing before we get into tonight's card and going back and also kind of tags to a comment that was mentioned to talk about, kind of like why are we, making so much about the broadcast? Well, that means a lot because of how you're visualizing and watching the game, especially for us, especially somebody like me betting live, which that helped me the first week of last year with the shortened schedule. It helped me last night. I was able to kind of bounce back and stay afloat because I hit 3 live wagers last night.
There you go.
At good plus prices. So how things are being broadcast, and I mentioned it to Ian off air about, we mentioned just now too, about Gretzky when he was talking during that segment where they asking him about Ovechkin breaking the record. 2 goals happened in the span of that, and that kind of distracted me where I actually missed a shot at betting that 3rd goal. So thankfully I was able to hit the 4th and 5th ones later with the Capitals.
How about Marcel Dion's video message?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
That was
so
cool.
So those things, you talk about with the new, we talk about these little nuances with camera angles and different things. That's important for us who are used to seeing eye tests. That's crucial when making live wagers and things like that. So it does tie back to the gambling. It's not just our enjoyment level. There's an
adjustment level, I think, in all aspects of the game right now.
Right, exactly.
And then you guys said I get to talk to these players and the personality thing too. I mean, I'm all for it too, guys. I want them to show the personalities I see behind the scenes because I've covered every pro sport, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a hockey guy. You guys know I speak objectively. And hands down, these guys are the best guys in the world. I mean, it's just they're just dudes that you hang out at a pub with. You don't get that in baseball. Baseball, they're on.
You don't get that from Kyrie Irving or any of those people.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, these guys are the best guys. So to be able to show that and bring that connection, or there's so many times where I wish I could tell you stories that I have about these players in pubs and on the road and shit like that. I can't because out of respect for their privacy, but I have a feeling with the people they've hired in the game that's going to start to come out more and the fans will enjoy it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. And it's funny, a new sport now where ESPN and TNT are sharing the national TV rights, just like NBA, and yet the TNT studio show is still better than ESPN. Although ESPN's was good. I'll say this, ESPN's NHL studio coverage Tuesday night was way better than ESPN's NBA studio coverage has been the last few years, which has been embarrassingly bad. It's been absolutely atrocious, the NBA studio stuff for ESPN. The NHL, at least for ESPN, was better than that, no question. We're going to hope for better betting results tonight. So let's
do it.
transition, and great segue right there. The king of the segues, Ian Cameron, is ready for a bunch more this season right here on the Ice Guys show. And we're going to start the
I'm
Thursday
just waiting
card.
for your puns.
Yes. Yeah,
Ian
exactly.
Pun Cameron.
Yeah, exactly. Ian Pun Cameron. Even though my name doesn't have a P in it, or letter, my name doesn't have the letter P in it, but we'll pun it up regardless. Should be a good one here. Interesting battle of Ontario to get the Thursday card going. Toronto Maple Leafs, Ottawa Senators. Toronto -170 road favorites, 6 the total, 6.5 in some spots. Toronto with a nice win, very workmanlike. Solid defensively. Great game from Jack Campbell. Outstanding. I thought he played great. I thought Jake Allen played well, even in the loss for Montreal. The difference ended up being the great shot by William Nylander to make it 2-1. He just faked the shot, got Jake Allen to go down just ever so slightly, and then he roofed it over him for a 2-1 victory. So really good win for the Leafs there. A big win against a team that knocked them out in the playoffs last year. And now they're going on the road, though, second night of back-to-backs. I'm going to get your guys' thoughts when you talk about this game as well. Just in general, the concept of team that's played a game already facing a team that hasn't played a game yet. Who do you give the advantage to in these situations? For me, it's case by case. It really is more than anything else. For me, though, in this game, I'd be worried about laying the price with Toronto because they were in this spot last year. They won their first game at home, Montreal, to open the season. They went on the road to play Ottawa the very next night, and they lost. And that's the same kind of situation potentially we might see here. Ottawa's going to be working hard, no doubt. And I'm sure they're happy that they got the Matthew Tkachuk thing, or Brady Tkachuk, I should say, finally done. But he, getting the contract extension done, although I don't think still he is going to be playing tonight. He won't be available for tonight against the Leafs. Shane Pinto's banged up. They've got a couple Colin White's on IR. So they got a couple guys out. Matt Murray's starting the year out, but it's their goaltending's interchangeable. So it's going to be Anton Forsberg. It's been given the start here tonight against the Leafs. He didn't really play all that great last year, but he actually played decent at times against this very Toronto team. So it's interesting how that goes. Maybe a pizza bet on Ottawa here, +150, just because Toronto could be a tricky spot, and they failed in this spot last year, back-to-back against Ottawa to open the year after beating Montreal. But we'll just lean a little bit. Small bet for me, maybe on Ottawa, +150. Nothing significant. Alex, what are your thoughts here? Leafs and Sens.
Yeah, nothing here for me either. Like I said, Anton Forsberg starting. Matt Murray won't even dress tonight. It'll be Philip Gustafson as the backup. Murray's dealing with some sort of illness. He said it's not COVID. He's been tested 3 times and negative, but it's something that's wearing him down. So it could just be general flu or a cold, but he will not dress in this game. 10 of the last 16 meetings have been decided by 1 goal. So I would maybe possibly lean with a draw in play. Even though it's +370 right now, but I want to kind of see how things develop. If Forsberg isn't steady right out the gate, then obviously you just throw that out the window. So like I said, this would be more of an end game kind of live wagering spot for me, if anything. But as of now, I have nothing.
And by the way, Peter Mrazek, as expected, with Jack Campbell playing last night, will make his Toronto Maple Leafs regular season debut tonight. Mrazek in net for the Leafs. Jimmy, what do you like here?
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you guys, and I got a little scoop for you here. Pay very close attention to this game as we get closer and closer to game time, because I'm been told by somebody in the organization that it is not out of the realm of possibility that Brady Tkachuk suits up. So if he suits up, I would bet heavy on the Ottawa Senators, because they are going to be so revved. They're already going to be revved up enough as it is, because they got high hopes for the season. They're playing the Leafs. It's going to be a packed house. But all of a sudden, if they get this surprise in warmups that he's coming into the lineup, I would just go ahead. So keep close attention to that as we go on. I already love the Senators in this, and I also love the over. And as far as Matt Murray goes, I think he's a guy you look at once he gets healthy. Keep an eye. I think he's going to have a bounce back year there. But with the goalies in net tonight, I like the over a lot. I also think you're going to get some tired legs, obviously, from the Leafs last night. So I'm going on the Senators money line and the over in this right now. But I might go real heavy on the Senators if I see that Tkachuk is in the lineup.
All right, so a lean to the over here. I did lean over as well. I was hoping for better than 6. There are a couple 6s, but not many. 6.5 at most spots. But I wouldn't be in a rush for the under tonight because Ottawa is a team I'm looking to bet over the total just in general because I think they're
lot.
going to score. Kachuk, with Batherson as well,
Pinto's in the lineup now.
Stutzla, Josh Norris. Yeah, I mean Connor Brown, Shane Pitt. Like they got guys that are going to be able to score for them.
Yeah, but they've got no defense.
But exactly. Other than Shabbat, you got Artem Zub. Zaitsev's terrible at times in his own end. Mete couldn't cut it in Montreal. Nick Holden. I mean, Josh Bratt's just not a great defense. And if you bring Delzato in, he's a liability in his own end. He's a good skater, but he's not great in his own end. So, yeah, a lot of shaky defenders on that Ottawa blue line. So, yeah, we're in lockstep here. Ottawa circled as an over team for me in terms of their game totals. Speaking of teams circled as an over team for their game totals, the Buffalo Sabres. They're hosting the Montreal Canadiens. We've got Montreal minus 140, road favorites, 5.5 the total. I am on the over here, 5.5. Like I'll always try to make a case to play an over 5.5. To me, it's not much of a case to make to play this one over 5.5. This could be one of the worst teams defensively in the league, Buffalo.
Yeah.
And you look at the goaltending, you're talking about Craig Anderson and Dustin Tokarski. That's nothing to write home about. Like I say, you got Pissick, Colin Miller, Robert Hagg, Jacob Bryson, Yoki Haru's a top pair defenseman, not from what I've seen in the past for the Sabres. Dahlin was a mess, train wreck defensively last year. I like his skill set, but he's still good offensively because he can skate, lug the puck, shoot the puck, be on the power play, do those kind of things for you. Buffalo, though, on the flip side, you worry where's the offense going to come from, but they still have Olofsson. Rasmus Asplund stepped up down the stretch last year. Dylan Cousins, that's the one guy I would take on this team up front because he gives you great effort every night. They bring in Hinostroza. Middlestat now going to be a top-line center. And I like the way he played down the stretch, but it's kind of like with last night with Wenberg, being the top-line center for the Seattle team. Is he ready for top-line center duty? Casey Middlestat moving forward and with the Buffalo Sabres. And then, of course, you've got Jeff Skinner, who's going to be looking to bounce back as well. So I understand there's maybe some concerns offensively, too, for Buffalo. But I think there are greater concerns defensively and with an aging goalie in Craig Anderson, who was, average at best in spot duty with Washington last year whenever Samsonov or Vanacek couldn't play. So they're going to give up some goals. And I think for Montreal, look, they got pretty much shut down in a little bit of a defensive battle with a Toronto team that is actually much better defensively than people think. I mean, they improved defensively last year, the Leafs, and they look like they'll be pretty solid defensively. But now you step down in class if you're Montreal playing this, bottom feeder Buffalo Sabres team. I get it. Montreal's on the back-to-back, and they're going to have Samuel Montembeault in net for them on the back-to-back. But I could see Montreal finding the back of the net. I actually have 3 bets on this game, 3 different ones. Montreal, I understand they're on the back-to-back, but we're not going to get minus 135 to minus 140 to bet against Buffalo very often. So I'm on that. I'm on over 5.5, and I'm going to go one step further. Team total at plus 125. Montreal Canadiens over 3.5. I like that as well. So Habs team total over 3.5, plus 125. Montreal money line minus 135, and Montreal Buffalo over 5.5, minus 120 for me in this game. Alex, Habs, Sabres.
Yeah, I agree with all 3 of those plays. I'm going to just keep it with the first period over. I got that at minus 125 or at 1.5. I just don't see where the defense is going to really pop up. And even obviously Montreal is going to have the better defense. But as far as the goaltending with Montembeault, you kind of want to see how he fares. I think Buffalo might be able to get a couple goals past him, but I definitely, like I said, Buffalo team totals with their opponents, something I'm just going to have circled year round, and I'll be hitting on those more often than not. I have a lot of stuff on this card already, so that's why it hasn't made it on for this evening. But I definitely think that we're going to see this is just a horrendous goaltending tandem and a shaky defense. I just think Buffalo is going to, even games they win, which those will be few and far between, they will have to figure out a way to get 4 and 5 goals because I just don't see where they're going to be holding a whole lot of teams to 3 goals or fewer on a given night.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's going to be difficult for this Sabres team. And look, I said only 1 goal for Montreal last night, although it was Jonathan Drouin who scored it, which is good news because you really want and need him to produce and bounce back.
Really happy for him.
Yeah, exactly. With obviously the battles he's gone with his mental health, you like to see that. And hopefully he has a good year. I hope for that for him and a good first start for him. But again, you're going to compare the Buffalo defense to Toronto's defense. You can compare them. Yeah, you can compare them and say there's no comparison. That's the comparison right there with the Sabres and the Leaf defense. So Montreal should be able to have a better time of it offensively tonight. Jimmy, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I got a couple things I like here. I love the over in this. I like a Jimmy puck line in this. The Habs -1.5. And I like Christian Dvorak to score a goal. I liked how he played last night. I would even go with his line mate as well, who you can get at +400 right now to pop one in as well, and that's Josh Anderson. I think he's up for a big year. I think that whole line could be up for a big year if they stay healthy, guys. That's something to watch there as we go on. They're already clicking in the preseason. They clicked last night. Keep an eye on that. It's technically their second line, but I think when all is said and done, it could end up being their top line. So those are 3 things I like tonight.
By the way, I'm going to also go with, in terms of shots on goal, and also throw out a couple player props, because Nick Suzuki, yeah, he'll score, but he likes to dish as well. His line mates, Caulfield and Toffoli, over shots on goal, both of them. This Buffalo defense will give up shots. They did last year. They gave up 30, 40 shots in a lot of games. Caulfield, Toffoli playing on that top line. I wouldn't even argue with the second line guys, Drouin, Dvorak, Anderson, all capable of, firing a lot of rubber, at Craig Anderson tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. So over shots on goal, if you want to sprinkle goal scorer props on any of those guys. I know Proline King in our chat likes Caulfield anytime goal scorer. Anybody from the top 6 for Montreal, goal scorer and over shots on goal tonight, I'm interested. But especially the top line guys, Caulfield and Toffoli playing with Suzuki.
It's crazy. I don't think we're going to do this a lot and sprinkle something on a Buffalo player to score. But one guy to keep an eye on, I think he actually could have a pretty decent year. He's getting more playing time now. They're going to depend on him more, as Tage Thompson. And you can get him at +400 right now to pop one in.
Yep. He did. And a good training camp in preseason as well. That's a good one. Keep an eye on that, and you'll get some good value as well. Pittsburgh and Florida. Florida -175 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I like Florida in regulation here. I'm going to get it down to -115. Look, maybe Pittsburgh's going to just rally the troops, and this defensive-minded style of play that they certainly adopted it against Tampa Bay. I mean, they were all over the Lightning. Maybe it's going to allow them to survive here these first few games as they await the return of Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Jake Gensel. But Tampa Bay, part of that was not just Pittsburgh was great defensively, which they were. Part of that was Tampa Bay was just a no-show, flat as a pancake right from the opening faceoff. Like John Cooper said, we watched the banner going up, and then we watched a team want to win a hockey game after that. We did a lot of watching. It was a great line from Cooper after that loss. Going to be much tougher here against Florida. I was impressed with Pittsburgh's defense, and maybe they'll do it again here, but I think it's going to be much tougher to do that against this Panthers team. Really like what they've done. They've got a healthy Aaron Ekblad, who, as I mentioned in the preview show, I like him to win the Norris at +2,000 this year, 20-1. Ekblad to win the Norris Trophy, paired with Weegar on the blue line. Definitely is going to help them back there. Sam Reinhart. By the way, I like Sam Reinhart, goal scorer prop and shots on goal. I like these guys that go from a horrible organization to a team that's expected to do good things. And I think in that first game, you see just the excitement from a guy like Sam Reinhart to probably be on this Florida team, be out of the shit show that is the Buffalo Sabres right now. So over shots on goal and goal scorer prop for Reinhart makes sense. Playing with Barkov is going to make him even better. With Verhaeghe, that's going to be a good top line. Bennett, Hubert, Owen Tippett continues to get better. Very good second line. You've got Anton Lundell. Watch out for him on the third line. And you've got a guy that, had a lot of pedigree at one time. It's had a, uneven career, but Anthony Duclair on a fourth line, you can't even put it past him, maybe to chip in offensively as well. It looks like it's going to be Sergei Bobrovsky in net tonight. And Joel Quenneville said he's basically going to be back and forth. It's Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight, sharing the net through the course of the year. And even though I prefer Knight to Bobrovsky, Bobrovsky's going to have to bring it every night. I expect extreme incentive from him to be good, be sharp, because he's going to have to battle tooth and nail with Spencer Knight all year to get more starts for this Florida Panthers team. So for that reason, I think he has a chance maybe to step up, have a better game tonight. I like Florida in regulation. And at 6.5, I lean under. Now, I know the under was a brutal beat with Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay the other night, but you deserved the under. You deserved to win that bet if you took it. I would lean in that direction again tonight with this Pittsburgh really conservative style of play that I think they want to employ here until they get some of their top 3 forwards back. Alex, what do you like here, Pittsburgh, Florida?
This is a game I passed on. Like I said, obviously Pittsburgh, the way that they got those goals late was a result of Tampa Bay, trying to shake things up and come back. And just for the record, I don't think we're going to see that often from Tampa Bay with them pulling the goal as early as they did and as often as they did. I think that was kind of a John Cooper move, just kind of shake things up. I was talking about it with somebody earlier, and they said, instead of him bag skating the guys, that's kind of his way of trying to show, call them out and say, hey, we need to pick things up late in that contest. But Florida, their barometer kind of in a way is always Tampa Bay because they're in-state rivals. I'm sure they saw that game and saw how Tampa Bay just, fell flat and say, hey, you know what? We're trying to get to where Tampa Bay is. They're the defending back-to-back champions. We want to make some noise in this Eastern Conference. We have to make sure we don't do things like that. We can't have a letdown like that in our building. Hopefully the attendance, talk about the team that led the league in attendance last year. Of course, they needed a pandemic to do that, but hopefully people will show up to this opener tonight and make some noise because this is a fun team to watch. And if they can get things rolling offensively, they should be able to take care of business against Pittsburgh. So I would lean with Florida, maybe in game and get a better adjusted price, but I'm just going to stay away from it.
All right, Jimmy, what do you like here?
Yeah, look, on paper, I look at this and I just love Florida and, they're getting so hyped right now. But that's the one thing that scares me is how much hype the Florida Panthers are getting. And are they reading their clippings? I don't care what players tell you publicly. They read their stuff. And I don't want it to get to them and be blowing up their heads right now. And I think there's a real danger of that with the hype that the Florida Panthers have gotten so far in the preseason. So I'm really skeptical. And that's why I'm going to kind of take an approach like Alex and just touch some more in-game stuff there. I'm just going to see how it goes throughout the game and follow that because I think there's a chance that Pittsburgh could sneak up on them just like they snuck up on Tampa the other night. But at the same time, they are Florida's a much better team. I do believe that the hype is warranted. I'm just skeptical of how much has gotten to their head.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we expected a lot from the Rangers this year. Look how they played in their first game last night.
So I'm with you. They keep burning me. And jeez.
I mean, but because I'm just, I don't know if it's just it's like I'm attached to the hip. We'll get to that team in a second. But guess who's back on the blue shirts tonight? Yeah, this guy, for better or worse. So here we go again with this team. Rope me in, reel me in like the old fisherman. I'm the bait, and I keep getting reeled in by this team. But we'll get to them in a sec. First, though, we got to talk New York Islanders, Carolina Hurricanes. This should be a good one. Really?
Yeah, this may be the best game on the card, I think, tonight.
Very interesting. Lots of good things to really look for and watch as well. Carolina minus 130 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this one. Some changes, obviously, with these two teams coming into the year. How does Frederik Andersen play? Now, coming from the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're out of that, that hot boiling pot, if you will. And now you're in Carolina. You can relax maybe a little bit, not feel as much day-to-day pressure. Certainly from the media, you won't in Carolina. Can he get it back on track? It was a bad year for him. I don't want to hear injuries. It was a bad statistical year. When he wasn't injured and he was on the ice and in the game for the Leafs in net, he didn't play well for much of last year. So can Freddie Andersen bounce back from that? Remains to be seen. But yes, there are some changes on the blue line, of course, a couple changes there. And up front, obviously, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, they get him from the Montreal Canadiens and the offer sheet deal. He'll play on the top line already for this Carolina team. Rod Brind'Amour giving him top line duty already with Sebastian Aho and Martin Necas here for this Carolina team. Svechnikov, Trocheck, Teravainen on the second line. Niederreiter, Jordan Staal, Jesper Fast on the third line. Steven Lorentz, Derek Stepan, Jordan Martinook. That forward group's really deep. I mean, I'm really impressed with that forward depth for Carolina now. It's impressive. Like that is 12 forwards deep. Those are 12 freaking rock solid forwards that can contribute to a hockey team, offensively included. So going to be a good challenge here for this Islanders team. But we know if there's one team that can defend, a team that's got some game breakers, it's the Islanders under Barry Trotz and that very structured defense that looks very similar to last year. 5 of their 6 starting defensemen, same as last year. It's pretty much Adam Pelech, Ryan Pulock, Noah Dobson, Andy Green, Scott Mayfield. The one new face is the old veteran, the old giraffe, as I like to call him, Zdeno Chara for the New York Islanders. He is now, of course, part of this team now. Anders Lee, the captain who was out for much of last year, is back. He'll play with Matt Barzal and Cal Palmieri on the top line, Beauvillier, Nelson, Bailey, the second line. Keep an eye on Oliver Wahlstrom. The guy really came on in the second half of the year for the Islanders last year. If you're looking for value in some shots on goal and goal scorer props, point props in games, you might see that with Oliver Wahlstrom this year for the New York Islanders. Two teams I like, two teams I'd probably prefer to bet on, although I'm not making the mistake of underestimating the Islanders again like I did last year. So, yeah, the draw for Terry Edelman in our chat, I could see it. Tight game, close game. I don't think that's terrible to look at a draw, Carolina Islanders. I'm passing. This is one of the games I've actually passed on. And the way I see it, Carolina's a team I'm looking to bet some overs with. And at 5.5, I'm tempted, but not against the Islanders. We know what the Islanders want to do, and that's keep this a tight, lower scoring affair. So for that reason, I'll pass on the game. But after tonight, I may look at some overs with this Carolina team because I'm convinced their offense is going to put up some goals this year, but their defense a little bit down just slightly from last year, and question marks with Anderson and Ronta, those two older goalies in net for them this year. Alex, what's your thoughts here, Isles and Canes?
This is a pass for me, but if I had to play anything, I would lean with Carolina. Looking at the numbers now, granted, trends are a bit shaky because for the most part, the team did not play last year. So we're talking about things that have happened 12 to 19 months ago. But the Carolina Hurricanes have won the last 8 meetings against the Islanders, including 4 of the last 5 in Raleigh. That's an interesting trend, and obviously that does involve Trotz, so it is Style has to play it in some fashion. And then looking at Frederik Andersen, who obviously wants to bounce back, and he's got the pressure off of him from leaving Toronto. He's done well against the Islanders in his career, 7-2-1 with a 2.87 goals against, 905 save percentage, and 1 shutout. So maybe this would be the right team in the right spot for him to show that hey, he's ready and focused to lead this Carolina team moving forward in this division. It's a division battle, so obviously points are important. And like I said, you want to start off on a good foot at home. So I would lean with Carolina. It didn't make my card, but those are just the 2 points I have on that.
All right, Jimmy, what do you like here, Isles Canes?
Yeah, you know what, guys, we're right when we say that the Islanders are such a great defensive team and their structure they have there. But for some reason, I just sense this being a crazy game. I don't know why. I think it's going to be one of these games we maybe didn't see coming that turns into a barn burner. So I'm going to go with my gut here and take the over in this. I don't know who's going to win, but the draw might be a great play as well. But I'm going to go with my gut here and take the over. I just don't like, in terms of defense and goaltending, I don't like the Carolina Hurricanes in that department right now. I think their defense is great at moving the puck and creating offensive opportunity, but I don't think they're a defensively sound team, and I don't like the goaltending moves they made. And then I look at the Islanders. You're getting Anders Lee back in the lineup, so he's good for more offense. You mentioned Wahlstrom. I think he's going to have a better year now too. I like the offense in this game, so give me the over.
All right, like an over 5.5. I lean that way, but I was just hoping for an opponent other than the Islanders, but it still could get there. We'll see. And Carolina, definitely, I think a team that's going to be able to find the back of the net. Like I say, you look at the 12 forwards on that roster in their lineup, their 4 lines, you could legitimately expect goals from everyone. That's how good that forward group is for Carolina and the depth they have up front. All right, Dallas Stars, New York Rangers. We've got the Rangers minus 135 home favorites, total of 6, shaded to the under in this game, 5.5 at other locations. I was not very, very high on Dallas coming into the year, and I'm still going to have to see it from them. When coming into this year that they can improve. I know the pieces. It's been largely the same core of blue liners, Klingberg, Heiskanen, Lindell. They bring in Ryan Suter, which I don't think makes the blue line better at this stage of his career. Up front, Radulov, can he stay healthy? If he can still produce. Sagan, streaky. Ben, very, very streaky. There's been games last year you couldn't even find him out there. Pavelski kind of slowed down his production last year. He's now in his mid-30s and going on the backstage of his career, the back foot, if you will. And you worry about where's the offense going to come from the third and the fourth line consistently. I mean, Guryanov definitely could have a good year, but, Fox is another inconsistent player. Raffle was the same with Philadelphia last year. That's just question marks. And then in goal, you got Braden Holtby starting tonight. And Braden Holtby, has had a rough go of it the last couple of years. Didn't play all that great with Vancouver last year. And of course, his last year in Washington was one of his worst years. And you got him and an aging Anton Udobin, as your goalies here in Dallas. And to the point where what happened to Ottinger? He actually showed some glimpses of hope last year. And now all of a sudden, away, and Ben Bishop still on IR for this Dallas team. So, it's just goaltending concerns as well. Now, look, the New York Rangers frustrated me a lot last year, and they decided not to waste any time this year in doing so. Last night against Washington, they actually outplayed Washington in the first period, but when you're down 1-0 and you're taking the play to them and yet you're trailing, it really, I think, zapped some life from that group, because that second period was awful. And that's really where they let the game get away from them. I mean, you got to be a little mentally tougher than that. I know you're down 1-0 in a period you played pretty well in if you're the Rangers. They had all the better chances than Washington, but they let it get to them. That's weak from the mental side of things. You got to show me better than that. And that's going to be up to Gerard Gallant through the course of the year, because, look, this was a mentally fragile team last year with what we saw. He's got to extricate that from this Rangers team. But you look at this, it's their home opener. It's going to be the better of the two goalies in net. Shesterkin, getting thumped last night 5-1 by Washington. I'm going to trust them to have a much greater effort. Maybe I'm foolish for doing it because I've been wrong by this team so many times the last couple of years, but I'm going to come back to the Rangers. And again, I always say this, I'm not out till I lose 2, or I don't scale back on my belief on backing a team until I lose 2 in a row. And that's going to be the case here tonight. So give me New York here, minus 135 in this one. Alex, what do you think? Stars, Rangers?
Yeah, we definitely need to see a much better effort from the Rangers. And maybe, like I said, they were kind of just caught up in the whole realm of, the revenge for last year and the different things. And it just kind of distracted them to the point where they just couldn't focus and play. It looked sharp in the first period. They were doing, things the right way. They were getting shots on goal. They were getting shots on goal for the most of the second period. And then all of a sudden, the floodgates just opened up against them. Like I said earlier in the program, they took some dumb penalties throughout the night, and that was kind of the X factor. So you can't afford to do that against a Washington team. Ovechkin ended up burying them with he had 2 goals, and they ended up getting 2 goals on the power play as a whole. So tonight they played Dallas. They don't have to worry about any of the that kind of the media hype or what have you. They played against Braden Holtby, a guy who he's familiar with New York when he played with Washington. Record 10-13-1 with a 2.47 goals against. So that obviously leans to the fact that those two teams play each other tight. I think we see a little bit more wide open play here, even though Dallas has been an under team for years. Like I said, with that aging core on the blue line, most notably Ryan Suter, I think they might be a little bit susceptible to give up some goals here. So I would look at the over 6 here, if anything. That's just more of a lean, but I could definitely see where if the Rangers can press the tempo early and make up for what they did last night, Dallas can be able to return some firepower and should be able to get over that number.
All right, lean to the over, if anything, here for Alex in this one. Total of 6, 5.5, starting to show up, but mostly 6s across the board. Jimmy, Dallas, New York Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Ian. This team, I keep thinking this is going to be the year for the Rangers, and I guess it feels like, again, I'll show my age here. It feels like before 1994, we kept thinking it was going to be the year, and then they finally did it. I got to say they bounce back. Like, this is where Gerard Gallant's value comes in, right? This is where he says, what the hell was that? And he whips them into shape, and he makes them bounce back. And Dallas is I don't know, something about them I don't like this year. Maybe the goaltending, like you said. So I'm going to go with the Jimmy Puck line here. I think the Rangers bounce back big time, and you get some really good value right now on that. Give me the Rangers minus 1.5.
And he's right. Plus 175 is out there for Rangers minus 1.5 on the puck line in this game. All right. Before we get to our next game, it's DraftKings. We want to mention them, and we want to congratulate, actually, the NHL and DraftKings, official sportsbook partner now of the National Hockey League. Terrific news there, and great promos that are available with DraftKings, official sports betting partner now of the NHL. New customers, you can bet $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. That's one of the new promotions now with the NHL and DraftKings. So take advantage of that. Think about that. Bet $1, any NHL game, $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. And there's usually a good chance of that in the majority of NHL games that each team will find the back of the net. So make sure you take advantage of that. If your sports book is not available right now in your state, or if you're in Canada, again, where it's not available either, don't worry about it. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests as well. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with your first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it right there on the screen. And again, $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. Promo code THPN. DraftKings Sportsbook, the new official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. DraftKings. Check it out. Use the promo code THPN. All right, let's move on. We've got a game that it may not be fascinating on paper, but it's got some interesting elements certainly to talk about. Arizona, Columbus. We've got Columbus minus 160, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Trevor Loudon saying Fox over half a point for the Rangers. I took Adam Fox over 1.5 shots last night, and it clearly got there with ease. So Adam Fox shots, points, goals.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking along your lines there. He's bet on in terms of player props, I think, right now for the Rangers. For Columbus, obviously they're rebuilding, but when you match up their roster right now with Columbus's, there's still some more, a better overall top to bottom roster, blue line, goaltending than Arizona. You still have at least Patrick Laine for as maddening as he can be. Tessier, Jacob Voracek comes over from the Flyers. You have Gus Nyquist, veteran forward. Roslovic, Bjorkstrand's a capable offensive player. Yeah, you got questions. Who's going to score on the third and the fourth line for you? The blue line still. Jake Bean was a nice pickup. I actually like that guy from Carolina. Nice pickup there for Columbus. Zach Werenski, Gavrikov, Boquist brought in the offseason. Dean Kukin, Andrew Peak, and Merzlikins, of course, in goal. And then you compare that to Arizona. It's thin. I mean, Clayton Keller's erratic. They get Ryan Dzingel, but now he's got to play in a top 6 role, which he hasn't been accustomed to. Phil Kessel, they need a lot out of him, and the guy doesn't even want to play there anymore. He wants out of Arizona, Phil Kessel. So that's not going well for them right now. The third and the fourth line, Louis Eriksson's just been non-existent, I would say, in the last year or two in his career offensively. Travis Boyd, Dmitry Yashkin, Antoine Roussel, fourth line, Christian Fischer, JB, it's nothing offensively in terms of consistent contributors on the bottom 6. The blue line, Chychrun, I like him as a player, but is he a top defenseman? I don't know. Strawman has had a lot of injuries recently. Timmins, Gostisbehere's a nightmare in his own zone, even though he can skate and shoot the puck. There's just a lot of issues there. And then Carter Hutton in net, that's not premier goaltending by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be rough for Arizona. They have a bottom-tier roster. They're tearing this thing down and going to try to build it back up again. And I was clearly expecting to stay away from this game just as early as a day ago. But now you're starting to read, everybody talking, Brad Larson, the head coach, a lot of the players. This is going to be an emotional night, tribute to the fallen teammate, Matisse Kivlenieks, and that awful, tragic death that happened earlier, that they want to really have a big game, play well, and they're better than Arizona to begin with. This is one of those rare situations where minus 160, I'm laying the money line. I'm not even going regulation, puck line, or anything. I'm laying the minus 160 here with Columbus in this game. And keep in mind, Columbus here as well, going into this game, Elvis Merzlikins is in net. Is there anyone that was maybe closer to Kivlenieks than Merzlikins? I mean, my goodness, they're battery mates essentially as goaltenders. There's country mates as well, the same country, Latvians, both of them. You got to believe that guy is going to, if he has the opportunity to stand on his head and the ability to do that, he will do that tonight. And may not be required, believe it or not, with this patchwork Arizona forward group. He may not even have to stand on his head to shut this team's offense down. So definitely I'd expect Columbus to really have a concerted, spirited, emotional, fired up type of night here to get the job done. And they're going to do some things before the game tribute-wise for Matiss Kivlenieks. So give me Columbus here, -160. I lean over too, because usually with these bad teams, teams that aren't expected to be playoff teams, they usually play pond hockey and just trade chances. You could see that. So I lean over the total a little bit. And it's not Tortorella anymore. Larson does want to see them play a little bit more up-tempo this year, apparently, from all indications. So I do like the over as well, but definitely Columbus at around -160. If you want a better price, you could always go for Columbus in regulation instead as an option. Alex, your thoughts here, Arizona, Columbus?
Well, I've said it ad nauseum about how bad I think Arizona is going to be. To use the old quote from Moneyball, there's good teams, there's bad teams, then there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's the Arizona Coyotes. That's what it seems like it's going to be this season with that lineup. It's just awful. But when you add to that equation, they're playing a Columbus team that's going to be skating with some heavy hearts and a lot of emotion in that building, because Matiss Kivlenieks, like I said, this was a guy who was loved by the fans and the organization. Keep in mind, their AHL team's in Cleveland. So a lot of people go to both Cleveland Monster and Columbus Blue Jacket games. And he, made an impact within that organization. And obviously, like I said, with Merzlikins and net, I mean, obviously the bond to them, they just had a kid, in the offseason, in middle name is after Matiss Kivlenieks. So it's going to be a heavy and emotional night, but I don't think it's going to drag them down. If anything, it's going to lift them up. I like them first period puck line, laying the half a goal. I got that +160. I also have the first period over 1.5 -$1.15. These are two teams I have circled in my list of first period over teams throughout the year. This is definitely going to be a game where I think we see that emotion carry them early. Now, if things kind of, when you do have moments like that, maybe it tails off at the end. That's why I don't want to do anything with them as far as the money line goes. But also the way this Arizona team is built is they're not really built to come back from giving up a lead either. Once they're down 2-3 goals, that seems like it probably would be it, because like I said, they don't have an offensive punch. Phil Kessel is really their only consistent scoring option. So that's what I'm going with. First period puck line with Columbus and first period over. I didn't see a prop for Merzlikins saves. I was looking for his over/under saves. There's nothing posted at the shop that I see where usually have those options. But if there is one, and it's within 27 to 28, I'd probably go over in saves.
All right, there you go. Maybe look at Elvis Merzlikins over that save prop as well in this one. Jimmy, Arizona, Columbus.
Right with you guys. Give me Columbus on the puck line on this one. They're just going to blow them out of the building. Great call by you, Ian. There's going to be so much emotion there. I mean, one could argue this is Columbus's Stanley Cup game, because they want to win this for their teammate. And they know they're probably not going to do much after this unless they somehow have a miracle and go on some crazy run. I mean, this is it. This is the game for them to come out and make a statement. And what a chance to lure their fans in. I mean, I saw a thing on Twitter last night. I don't know if you guys saw it. Some guy was interviewing a fan outside the USA Costa Rica World Cup qualifier.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we don't have a professional team in Columbus."
What?
How does it make you feel? First of all, if you're the soccer team, well, you have an MLS team. You just walked out of a soccer game, and one of those players is on Team USA. Second of all, if you're the Blue Jackets, how do you feel when people in Columbus are saying that? So,
wow.
They got to get the fans back going there. I thought they were on the cusp of things in 2019 when they lost to the Bruins in 6 games. They seem to have some momentum going. So they're going to have to start to get their fans back, and this is a good chance to do it. Give me the Blue Jackets -1.5.
All right. This is going to be sometimes now we've been doing this show this is our 6th season on the Ice Guys. I've been betting NHL hockey for 10 to 12 years now. Alex pretty much in the same ballpark as well in terms of length of time. I don't know if I've bet a game in the manner that I'm going to be betting this next game, and I'm going to tell you about it. Tampa Bay and Detroit. We've got Tampa Bay -210 road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. This is a game where in the early part of the game, I expect Tampa Bay to show something, because John Cooper just gave them hell for that performance the other night after that game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And look, it was a no-show. That's what it was. I mean, there was no emotion. There was no intensity. Every puck battle on the ice was being won by a Penguin player on Tuesday night. That's what it was in that game. And I expect a different when Cooper says what he said, we just stood there and watched Pittsburgh play the entire night. You expect better, especially from a team that, expects to compete for a Stanley Cup again. I don't think they're going to be quite as good, or certainly not as deep up front with the third and the fourth line as last year, but I definitely expect them to be better. Although they did get some bad news. Zach Bogosian already out with a lower body injury, and he's going to be out until December. Like a 2-month absence is what we're looking at here for Zach Bogosian of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So that's definitely something that concerns me going forward for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But early in this game, especially with Detroit not having played yet, and Tampa does have a game under their belt, I expect them to be good early in the game. I like Tampa in the first period in this game. You can get Tampa first period right now at -0.5 at around +130. I like that quite a bit. But I'm also coming back with Detroit full game +180 or so in this game, because I could see them definitely having a great start, getting a lead, but I don't know if they're going to be so good that they're going to get up 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, because they are playing a goalie that I really, really like, and Alex Nedeljkovic, who's going to play his first game tonight for the Red Wings. And if Detroit can be down, best case scenario is I hope it's 1-0 Tampa after the first period. We cash Tampa first period, and then Detroit's still in the game. They regroup after the first period, and then they play better. Because, look, like I've said about the Red Wings a bunch of times, I think this is going to be a team that surprises some people this year with what they've got now. Look, and they're going to only get better once they eventually get Jacob Vrana back. They'll miss him for offense initially, but, the forward group with Larkin, Bertuzzi, Adam Ernie was good last year. Pius Suter brought in. Zadina's going to be better. Robbie Fabry played great once he joined the Red Wings, or much better at least when he joined the Red Wings last year. On the blue line, they bring in the veteran Nick Leddy, which I think is going to stabilize that Detroit blue line. And they're going to be a very tough out for teams this year, especially with a goaltender that can flat out play at a high level, in my opinion, and Alex Nedeljkovic. So I like Tampa first period, -0.5 goal, +130. And then I'm going to take Detroit full game money line here as well at +175. I was going back and forth. Do I go +1.5 on Detroit? No, I like going with the underdogs for the payout. Win or lose, I prefer to take that shot at the +180 price here with Detroit. So it's an interesting concept for me. Tampa first period, Detroit full game money line, but I think it makes some sense here to maybe look at that way. And I want to mention one last thing here. Tampa Bay last year, that was obviously a juggernaut team. We know how good they were. The last 5 meetings against Detroit to end the season last year, Detroit was 3-2 against Tampa Bay, believe it or not. And that was a better Tampa Bay team. And in the 2 of the 3 wins were in Detroit for the Red Wings against the Lightning. So this ain't a slam dunk for this Lightning team, especially if they don't answer the bell after a Tuesday night. I expect them to do that early, but I think Detroit regroups and still gives them a puncher's chance to win this game. So there you go. Tampa first period puck line, Detroit full game money line. A unique approach for me with this game. Alex, what do you think? Tampa Bay, Detroit.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier about how some, you look at certain teams with trends and angles, they aren't as valid because of the time we lost last year with the shortened season and the realignment. But keep in mind, these two teams, they have had bad blood for quite a while. They've been division mates the entire time. They were in the Central last year, but now they're back in the Atlantic where they were before the pandemic changed everything. They've had some, playoff battles as well. So there's some chippiness here with this series. And like I said, we saw, Detroit get some wins over Tampa last year, which was a better Tampa team and a worse Detroit team, in my opinion, especially from a goaltending perspective. I like your angle, Ian, and I would ask you, would you potentially think of looking at maybe going a half unit on that money line full game? Because if that first period Tampa cashes, you could get an even better adjusted number on the game money line live.
Yep.
And then you could add to that. That would be another option for those of you if you're looking to kind of go with Ian's approach. So I think that's very bright of you to have that stack. I would just look at the first period over here. 1.5 minus $1.20. We've seen that cash a few times with these two teams. Like I said, I think Tampa is just going to come out guns blazing. They could get that second goal on their own, but like I said, Detroit, if they kind of punch back a little bit, maybe they do end up making a 1-1, or even we can see 2-1 Tampa. So I think we're going to see a little bit of fight, and if we do see it from Detroit, chances are it will be early. That's the way I kind of view it. So I'll play the first period over 1.5. Minus $1.20, but I think, like I said, Tampa's definitely gonna have to come out with their hair on fire, because the effort they put at home, even if we have banner raising ceremony, of course, teams get complacent and kind of get emotional. Still no excuse for just not having any kind of offensive punch against Pittsburgh.
That is a good point, and that's probably what I'll do. We're going to not bet the entire stake on the Red Wings money line pregame, a little bit pregame, and then if Tampa does indeed have that lead after the first period, get a better live money line price and put the rest on it at that time. That would be the approach for sure. Jimmy, Tampa Bay, Detroit.
Boys, we said it. We warned of this in our preview show, and I think we are witnessing the start of it, even one game in, and I'm going to say now 2 games in. Tampa Bay is a tired team, emotionally and physically. Give me the Red Wings straight up money line here. This is going to be a rough start for Tampa. I could see them going 0-4, 0-5 out of the gate right now. That's how low I am on Tampa Bay right now. And that sounds crazy. They're the back-to-back champs, but I'm telling you that you got to watch out for these teams right now. And that's why I'm going to keep an eye on the Islanders as well, because they've gone pretty deep too. So Let me look at those 2 teams right now and see how they react to fatigue and just, recovering from everything they've been through mentally. I mean, don't forget in terms of going so deep in the playoffs, and then with COVID and everything else, it seems like it's primed to come all crushing down right now in the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I'm going to go against them for a bit here and wait until they prove to me that they're over that.
Yeah, I would have loved Detroit a lot tonight had Tampa won against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, situational game. I get that, but still, I like Detroit, guys. And a guy too. I'm going to put a little side on to a little prop bet too. Give me Sider to get an assist in this game. This kid is going to be an assist machine. He is getting put right on that power play. He's next to Nick Leddy. Keep an eye on this guy. He is a Calder favorite in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely want to keep an eye on him for sure. Moritz Sider, the defenseman here for the Detroit Red Wings. So keep an eye on him. You're right there. They're singing his praises here early on in camp, or throughout camp they were. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he acclimatizes to the lineup. But definitely Detroit. Like I say, these are the prices where I'm tempted by. I'm going to be looking at Detroit a few times all year.
Yep. They're a team to watch. You know who they remind me of now? And I won't say Ottawa's that far ahead of them, but they could be this year's Ottawa. Like watch them as the year goes on. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to get a lot, but they're going to give teams a lot of trouble. They're going to be a hard out. What? It might even be a fun bet if you can get good value on it, is the +1.5 with Detroit. I could see them covering that a lot. Yeah,
absolutely. Competitive team. Like Seattle, the next team we're going to talk about, which already covered a +1.5 in their first game against Vegas. Yeah, should have won. And I think they will win tonight. Seattle and Nashville. Nashville -125, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I like the Kraken here. You can get +115, +110 on them. If they play anything close to the way they did against Las Vegas, in particular, second and third period of that game, they can win tonight. The effort was very good, in my opinion. I know they're still battling a couple COVID cases still from the other night, but I was impressed with the effort level. I don't think much of Nashville coming into this year. Victor Arvidsson gone, Ryan Ellis gone, Calle Jarnkrok, of course, now with the Kraken, Pekka Rinne retiring. It falls on the shoulders of UC Saros and net. And again, you look at the forward group, it's the same old people, Duchesne, Johansson, that have underachieved the last few years, that haven't played as well as people thought, for this team. I like Eli Tolvanen. Look, even Philip Forsberg, for as great a career and great a Predator as he's been, a lot of the advanced numbers say he's not making plays or as much as he was the last couple of years, or the last few years. We've seen his playmaking go down. We've seen a lot of statistics involving Forsberg take a downward turn, the last year or two. So as good as a player as he's been, and he's still one of the best forwards the Predators have right now. You worry about his play throughout the course of the season with signs of decline and signs of regression for Philip Forsberg showing up in Nashville's performance last year. So, yeah, I think Seattle's got a great chance here to get win number one, and I'll take them here. Plus 113, 115, best price out there with Seattle. I think they can get the job done, get that first win in franchise history. Alex, what are your thoughts, Seattle and Nashville?
Yeah, right there with you. I'm on the Kraken. I grabbed that plus 115 yesterday. I like the resilience we saw from them fighting back through the crowd and the emotion of being, the new kids on the block and everything that's moving in that first period, down 2-0, but to come back and tie that game. They said, I'm sure they're not happy with the fact that they lost on a questionable call. They want to make sure to get a full effort out tonight, and playing in front of T-Mobile Arena for the first game, that should be able to get them acclimated to what's going to be another loud, rowdy environment in Bridgestone Arena. That Nashville crowd's going to be rocking and rolling with full fans. So I think that's going to help them. They'll be able to understand that, hey, we need to take the crowd out of it, get to a hot start. So this is a good plus price. So let's release the Kraken. We're going with Seattle for their first win in franchise history tonight.
Yeah, release the Kraken. Set the over-under at 985,000 times. We'll hear that this year. Broadcasters, media personalities, coaches, players, people online like us. Yeah, we'll all be using that line quite a bit when it comes to talking about Seattle. Jimmy, Seattle, Nashville.
Well, I got another one we can use. All right, we'll start our own little one here. Get Kraken. That's what I'm saying. They're going to get Kraken tonight. I'm with you guys. Give me the Seattle Kraken on the money line.
All right, Seattle to get win number one. We'll see if they can get her done tonight in Music City. Final game of this Thursday card, Vegas Golden Knights, Los Angeles Kings. Vegas minus 155, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I have a small lean. I might have put a couple bucks on it. It's not a strong play, but a small lean to the Kings here. Even though Las Vegas won the other night against Seattle, it wasn't overly emphatic or impressive at the end. In terms of high danger chances, Seattle was generating more of them, especially in the last two periods. Robin Lehner was a bit shaky. His rebound control was a little out of whack, out of sorts. And now it's going to be up to him to show, Peter DeBoer, McCrimmon, and George McPhee and this entire Golden Knights brass that he's up to the task of being the guy in net for an 82-game season, the number one guy for the Vegas Golden Knights. The blue line is still excellent. Martinez, Pietrangelo, McNabb, Theodore is a great top four. I don't deny that. The good news is, we saw, some of their better top forwards have score some goals for them the other night in the win against Seattle. But I still question, consistently, what can you get from the third and the fourth line for Vegas? And for the Los Angeles Kings, man, is it unfortunate that Quentin Byfield got injured, because I was looking forward to seeing him in this Kings lineup. But when I look at this team, Victor Arvidsson, maybe new life and resurgence in LA away from Nashville, playing with Kopitar and Dustin Brown. Vladimir Kachev, well, watch out for him. He's a guy that's in the KHL was very good. Can he translate to the NHL is going to be the question, but solid offensive player there. One of the best defensive forwards in the NHL. In fact, I think he's going to win the Selke this year. I put it in our predictions little blurb there, you guys. We all did a little predictions piece, and it's on the Patreon page, patreon.com/Ice Guys. I've got Philip Deneau for the Los Angeles Kings as my Selke Award winner this year. Obviously, great things he did, shutting down the likes of the Leafs offensive dynamos, the Jets offensive dynamos, Vegas's best offensive players. He played so well in the playoffs for Montreal defensively against those teams. And now you got him on this Kings team. He'll be good on that second line with Iafallo as well. Velarde, Arthur Kaliev is a guy that could take a step forward. Adrian Kempe and Carl Grundstrom on the fourth line could chip in as well. I do worry about the blue line other than Doughty and Edler and Walker. A lot of youth back there. It could be a little bit of growing pains for them there. But Peterson and Net showed you a lot last year as well. LA, another one of those teams, they will be improved. How much they improve is the question. I think they could be improved enough to give Las Vegas a battle tonight in this game. So it'll be a small bet for me on Los Angeles here at a plus 135 to plus 140 home underdog price. Alex, your thoughts on Vegas and LA?
Yeah, I went with the first period over here. I'm really kicking myself that I did not have the that play for Vegas and Seattle. Like I said, knowing how everything was going to be amped up as far as crowd goes. Won't be the same atmosphere in Staples Center, but it's still going to be buzzing a bit. These are division rivals. These two teams played each other a couple times in the preseason, and it's not exactly bad blood, but they don't they're not exactly friends either. So I think Vegas is going to want to try to carry things along. And get the tempo rolling. And we've seen LA, they were a first period over team for most of last year. They've got some offensive punch, but their defense is still a bit questionable, still shaky in net as well. So I like Vegas and LA to go over 1.5 minus $1.20.
All right, the first period over 1.5 minus 120 with Vegas and LA for Alex. Jimmy, what do you think here? Golden Knights Kings.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on that as well. And then I like the Kings, guys. I like the Kings in a money line here. I mean, got to look back at that first game for Vegas and the second half of that game and how poorly they played. That stuff can trickle over. I mean, I'm sure they addressed it yesterday, but that can trickle over at times. And I love LA this year. I think they're another team, much like the Red Wings, that are going to be scrappy. We saw it a lot at the end of the year last year. They've got some underrated players there. I don't think they're talked about enough. They've got some good skill that's coming up the ladder there. So I like LA to be a scrappy team this year, and I think they're going to open it up with a win on home ice tonight. So give me them on the money line.
All right, so first period over and LA plus 140 money line for Jimmy with Vegas and Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm interested to see that Kings team this year. There's going to be another one of those teams that wasn't in the playoffs last year, but should be improved. There's a bunch of them, and I think they'll be a little bit more fun and exciting to watch. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what we get from the Kings here starting tonight. All right, great stuff with Alex B. Smith and Jimmy Murphy. Of course, we do DraftKings promo earlier in the show now, midway through the show, which means when we finish breaking down the card, we can go right to best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, what do you got here for best bet for Thursday?
We're going to go with Columbus and Arizona first period over 1.5 minus $1.15. Like I said, it's going to be a big, heavy, emotional crowd and atmosphere in Nationwide Arena. And I think Columbus is going to take that and use that to their advantage. They should be able to get 2, if not 3 goals in that first period. And like I said, they're playing with heavy hearts, but I think it's going to help them move along and get 2 points eventually in the night. But get the goals early, so we'll go with the first period over as my best bet.
There you go. Arizona, Columbus, over 1.5 first period. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Jimmy Murphy, you're up next. Best bet.
I'm going to go with that Columbus puck line. Give me that. They're going to win it for their guy. I like that bet a lot. I think they've got a lot of confidence coming in this game and a lot of emotions, and they're going to channel it the right way. So give me Columbus. I can't believe I'm taking Columbus as a best bet. Probably the last time I do that, but that's my best bet tonight.
There you go. Arizona, Columbus. We're going to go minus 1.5 puck line for Jimmy Murphy with his best bet. Minus 1.5 Columbus, plus 160 with that puck line on the Blue Jackets. And I'm going to go with, I'm going back and forth here. Do I go team total for Montreal? Do I go full game? I like the over one way or the other there. I'll go over 5.5. Montreal, Buffalo, just the 5.5. It is the home opener for Buffalo. And it is Sam Montembeault in net. So, he's got to show something still. He was pretty good, I thought, in the preseason for the Canadiens. But, I think he could give up a couple. But Montreal should be good for 4 minimum. They're not playing the Leaf defense anymore like last night. They're playing Buffalo and Craig Anderson, an old over-the-hill goalie, in my opinion. Every now and then he can rise up, but not at this level of his career consistently at this stage. Montreal, Buffalo, let's go over 5.5 with the Habs and the Sabres. That'll be my best bet for this Thursday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. We thank everyone for tuning in on YouTube Live. And if you can't watch the show on YouTube Live, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern, make sure you download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast providers, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Make sure you download the podcast on all those platforms if you can't watch the show live. We will be back tomorrow, and we will have a special surprise on tap for Monday. So make sure you tune in on Monday. You don't want to miss that. For Alex B. Smith and Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you and talk to you again tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.